Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what part of the day you're listening to this podcast. My voice is cracking, Tracy Connors.
I know, I'm Peter Brady.
It's time to change. You got to rearrange.
Yep.
Don't have a cough button here. This is the this week's Enough Already podcast. Like I said, she's Tracy L. Connors. I'm Fingers Malloy. Tracy, I know we got to hurry up here because you got to get grocery shopping, but
yes,
I have to ask: are the Betsy DeVos confirmation hearings they done? Because last I checked last night, they were still going on.
Well, they did have a fight about whether or not they would have a second round.
Oh, really?
Of questioning for her. Yes, and I'm anxious to talk to Ashe because I know she watched it more diligently than I did. I tuned in for about the last half hour. And I wish I had seen the whole thing because it was so ridiculous. The grandstanding that was going on and the questions that are being asked. Yeah. So I tuned in just in time to see our good buddy who could have been our vice president, Tim Kaine, with his
drunk?
Nicholson-like eyebrows. It's difficult to tell.
Mm-hmm.
He was definitely in rare arrogance form. And first question, I'm paraphrasing and misquoting like crazy, but the gist was, have you seen President Trump's financial papers? Do you know his financial situation currently? Basically, have you seen the tax returns? And DeVos stayed composed through the whole thing. God love her. And I kept thinking, this woman's probably spent so much time around rich bitches. Yeah. That she knows how to deal with attitudes. So she said, no, I haven't seen his financial information. Why would you?
Right.
Do you go up to your friends and say, yo, can I see your tax returns?
Before I accept this position with you, I have to know. Can you fax me over the last 3 tax returns you have, please, before I accept this job?
Yes, and will you agree to submit to a credit check, please? So she says no, and then he proceeds to press her on whether she thinks she can be making decisions fairly that may or may not affect his personal financial situation, meaning Trump's, because, he does own Trump University. Like, is that an accredited school? Are they really? I thought it was just one of those seminars, where maybe you come out with a diploma or a timeshare somewhere.
Isn't it like a failed Dale Carnegie kind of thing where you walk in?
Well, Dale Carnegie isn't failed. That's a decent program from my understanding.
But the Trump University is. I'm saying, isn't it like a failed kind of Dale Carnegie thing where they tried to imitate some of what Dale Carnegie was doing, and it failed miserably. It's when did it go in the tank? It's not still a viable institution.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I thought that they severed ties, shut it down, took his name off of it, but I never cared that much about it. So I'm not entirely sure. So if anybody knows and they want to tell us, if I can still attend Trump University, please let me know. I'm dying to see what that's all about. But it has nothing to do with the Department of Education.
It was an American for-profit education company that ran a real estate training program from 2005 until 2010.
Wow. So you're telling me that Betsy DeVos might make decisions that affect 2010?
It's a separate, there's a separate organization, Trump Institute. Have you ever heard of Trump Institute? This is a first for me.
No.
It was licensed by Trump University, but not owned by the Trump organization.
Oh, that sounds way more prestigious.
Do you think one of the instructors at Trump University, I didn't know this was a whole real estate thing, but it makes sense. What was that guy's name that used to do those infomercials at night? Like Daniel Wu or something? He's like, you buy real estate.
Say Billy Mays.
You buy real estate, you get all women.
What?
You'll be surrounded by women. That's my Daniel Wu accent.
Yeah, you watch way more infomercial television than I do.
Oh, you can buy real estate with no money with this program or something, and then you can turn around and sell
Is he
it.
in cahoots with the guy covered in question marks?
Yes. Maybe it's
I
not
never remember
Daniel
that
Wu.
tweet.
I can't remember the guy's name, but yeah, you could buy real estate with no money, and then it's raining bitches.
Cool. That sounds pretty convenient.
Yeah. Well, hey, who doesn't want to buy real estate with no money and then have it be raining bitches? Asking for a friend. So yeah, and at one point, I didn't see much of the confirmation hearing, but at one point, didn't someone ask, what about, you're talking about these guys, what about the poor kid in a wheelchair? This is what the libs do. They come up with some kind of weird argument about the one person who may be negatively affected by any kind of cuts, and the person doesn't exist.
Yes.
What about the one kid in a wheelchair who has scurvy, who won't have childcare, after school daycare? What about that kid? What do you say to that kid's parents? Well, I don't know. Find the kid a babysitter and buy him a bag of oranges. I mean, I just these hearings are incredible. The way these libs, they get up and well, conservatives do this too, but they grandstand, come up with these ridiculous scenarios, and then these poor schmucks have to sit there with a blank look on their face and take these questions seriously. I mean,
and be polite about it.
Yeah, didn't someone ask her about the grabbing him by the pussy comment?
Yes, after there was about 10 minutes of back and forth over whether or not there was any precedent for the chair of a committee, who in this case it was Lamar Alexander was chairing this committee, if there's any precedent for the chair refusing the request of the minority party to deny a second round of questioning. Because they're all up in arms that they only get to question her for one round. And he pointed out that both of Obama's secretaries of education were only each questioned for one round, and that this hearing had gone on longer than either of those two, etc. And I just love it that they're totally willing to waste a whole bunch of time fighting over whether that's happened before. Elizabeth Warren was very adamant. She needed to know if that has ever happened before. Okay, unprecedented is an argument. Well, this has never happened before. Okay, well, now it has. Let's move along. So he allowed for Patty Murray, who is the ranking Democrat on that committee, to ask one final question. So she roundaboutly asked the pussy grabbing comment, a question framed around that. If somebody said XYZ and goes on to list it in less colorful details than it was on that tape, would you consider that sexual assault? Because they're very worried that she's going to roll back all the ridiculousness on college campuses, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a way to shoehorn that in there and make it kind of fit
I guess that's
the education
kind of
department.
relevant in a way that's not really relevant, but okay, sure. Why not?
Right. And it's so painful. It's like, oh my God, are you serious? And Ms. DeVos managed to get through without rolling her eyeballs. And I'm sitting at home being like, my God, these people are absolutely shameless. This is so ridiculous. This tells me absolutely nothing about what she's going to do in the job. But we have to get that in there. And I guess they asked Sessions about that too, in some way, shape, or form, which I can kind of understand. And then I can't remember the gentleman's name that's been put up for Interior. They asked him about it. And I can't figure out how they managed to get that question to be relevant to the Department of Interior, unless it's an in-house, like HR kind of question. If somebody in your department was found, and of course they make it seem as if Trump was advocating sexual assault, because that's what they did with that. They always leave out the "they let you" part.
Yeah.
Basically, he was calling women gold diggers and star effers.
Yeah. They let
clean that up a little
grab them.
Yes.
Let you.
Yes. That's called consent, kids.
But,
No, this is how
doesn't fit the
vile they
narrative.
are. And it's so much fun to have them back.
Right.
It is. I just find it so entertaining.
And now you're seeing, with the latest round of James O'Keefe videos, that you've got a bunch of leftists that are planning. Should we go so far as to call them terrorist attacks? I mean, look, people could get hurt. With some of the things I saw they're doing. I mean, they're throwing stink bombs in the deplorable.
Yeah, and huge ones. The little ones stink. Like, you can clear out a bar with those.
Yeah.
Which is something I may or may not have done at one point in my life.
Before we go any further, can we elaborate on that story? Just a tad?
I used to think it was fun.
So you would light a stink bomb and throw it into
No,
a
you
bar?
don't light them.
You don't
No.
light them?
No. They're little
like
glass.
a smoke bomb.
No.
Oh, it's like the James Bond kind of thing, where it's a glass like vial that you break and
you step on it. I have some. I'll take a photo if I remember and stick.
You
it
have some.
I do. I have 2. They're sitting waiting to be used.
Where do you purchase these?
I don't remember. They came to me through totally above board channels. I think I've had them for 10, 15 years at this point.
Aren't you worried that they may you may be you may stumble into the room.
Shelf.
Maybe have one glass of wine too many, and you reach on the shelf to grab something and you knock it over and it breaks, and then your whole room smells like rotten eggs.
No, like I said, I've had them for over a decade, unbroken. I'm not that worried about it. They're inanimate
you're
objects.
Break one today. You know it's going to happen, right?
Right. Well, I'll go to take a picture of it and I'll drop the box. No, they're pretty sturdy. You have to stomp on them.
But then your shoe stinks.
Throw them. Well, yeah, that's why you set it up so somebody else stomps. That was the best one that I ever did.
We're talking college?
Yeah, sure. Let's go there.
Oh, we're talking last week. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. That's what happens when I get bad service.
So you're saying there is a Benihana somewhere in Philadelphia that has been stink bombed? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But it airs out in about 10 minutes. It is rather vile. But the ones that they were making, I mean, they were talking about mixing up all the ingredients themselves. So I'd imagine they would be industrial strength and size, because they thought it would be enough to clear out the press club.
Wow.
No, and then they wanted to set off the sprinklers as well. All of the sprinklers at once, so that everybody would get soaked and then have to go stand outside in the freezing cold.
So basically their whole plot is to turn it into the ending of a 1980s teenage comedy.
Correct. Or Carrie. If they could get blood into the sprinkler system, they probably would have tried that.
Wow.
But then they were also talking about the real kind of, I mean, that's, to me, that rises to the level of pranks.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it is a pain in the ass. It's obnoxious. It's rude. And you could potentially destroy some property, especially with the water in that place, for sure. And who knows what kind of chemists they have on staff over there, if they're going to mix all that acid together correctly. So you could end up hurting somebody. So that could rise to the level of terrorism. And terrorism usually requires a political motivation, which is certainly evident in this. Mm-hmm. And but the subsequent video that O'Keefe put out was them talking about how they want to shut down the DC Metro by chaining the trains to the platforms. And apparently this can be accomplished in 15 seconds.
What kind of chain would they be able to carry around that could actually accomplish that? I could see, I could see the train pulling away and the chain breaking or doing something to damage the train, but to have a chain strong enough to keep the chain or the train at the platform?
I'm not sure. I mean, you would know more about, what is that, tensile strength? Is that what it's called?
Sure, why not? I'm not a chain expert.
Well, I don't know. What do they make, 500-pound fishing line?
Yeah, but I just can't imagine we're not talking about a Wile E. Coyote cartoon. I mean, it's an Acme. I mean, I don't understand. To be able to run up to a busy platform, because it's let's face it, that day is going to be, everything's going to be a madhouse.
Yeah.
And just be like, let me pull this chain out of my backpack and quickly attach it to the train like this is some sort of Animal House prank.
Yeah.
Somebody's been watching too many movies.
Mm-hmm. Well, they seem to think that it would work, that they could do it very quickly and get out, and it would force the use of bolt cutters, which would then slow down the whole works. If you've got every train chained up, it's going to take a while to undo that. And they want to keep people from getting to the inaugural. So the other plan was they're going to have security checkpoints, of course, to get everybody in there. And we know what fun that was at CPAC last year.
Yes.
I don't think it'll be that crazy. I don't think it'll be airport style security, but who knows? And so they were encouraging their members to set up booths and stuff like that and give out free food to homeless people right near the entrance points so that there would be a crowd and it would snarl the works. And
well, that's hold on. Why would that snarl up the works? I mean, we've had 8 years of President Obama. There aren't any homeless people anywhere in this country. I mean, there are homeless people now?
Oh,
I
apparently.
thought that problem was taken care of.
No, they became homeless on November 9th, 2016.
Oh, okay. Now
yeah,
it makes
the
sense.
ranks of the homeless swelled like crazy. We're going to see stories about this everywhere.
Yeah, we only care about the homeless during a Republican administration. Then they disappear
Of course. Yeah.
during a Democrat administration. So I just assumed that there weren't any homeless anymore because I never hear about them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's interesting. Well, I'm glad I'm not going to be in Washington to deal with it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I mean, I was tempted. I thought if I got myself an invitation to something cool, that I may make the trip. But I think I'm going to pass.
I think that's a good idea.
Especially when I hear about the how easy it is, according to Tracy Connors, to detonate a stink bomb.
Well, you say detonate. It's not that. There's no detonation switch.
Foot to
Nothing
glass.
explodes. Yeah, foot to glass.
Wow.
Yeah, but the terrorists have won, fingers. We won't go.
I didn't know you. I'm learning a lot about you this week. I didn't know you had such a checkered past.
Yes.
Domestic terrorist.
Occasionally. Yeah, I've never fallen down face first in the snow and lost my phone.
Yeah.
But I have been known.
You can call me out on my behavior, but I'm not supposed to say a word about it.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm just trying to redirect.
Again, I want to thank the fine folks at Apple for improving their phones enough to be able to find mine, for me to be able to find mine under 3 inches of snow. Because my iPhone 5 completely shit the bed on me. Have like 20% battery life, and if I went outside in cold weather for like 15 minutes, the whole damn phone would shut down. It's too cold.
Oh, you should write them a nice little review. Maybe they'll send you free stuff. You never know.
Yes, I'm the town drunk in Indianapolis, and I just want to commend you on your new phone design. The battery lasts forever if you happen to drop it in snow.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then fall on top of it.
No, I actually talked to my brother-in-law, and he's not sure I fell.
Oh. I thought you described a finger-sized snow print.
Well, there was a lot going on in that snow. I don't know. All I know is that I dropped my phone, which doesn't seem possible if you're just walking. And if it were in my hand, I would think I would, even in my condition, I would think that I would notice if it were in my hand and I suddenly dropped my phone. And that's not one of those things where you're like, screw it. It's just my phone.
Right.
You know?
No, it's just a penny. Why bother?
Right. So I just assumed because, that whole area looked like something was going on. And then I couldn't walk for like a day and a half because my left leg hurt so much. So I tried to put two and two. I tried to pull a Matlock.
Oh.
Put two and two together. Circumstantial evidence. Phone underneath 2 inches of snow. Lots of trampled snow around the area. Maybe a body print. But I didn't have the lab boys come down and check it out. So
And then is it possible that you were flailing around in the snow looking for your phone?
That could be.
Matlock?
Maybe.
That
Didn't
seems...
find it. And he
That
doesn't
seems
remember me
probable.
falling. But he confessed to me that certain portions of that night are a little sketchy for him too. So,
Okay.
I guess we'll never know.
No.
It's
You
my
guys are a pair.
It's my DB Cooper.
Yes.
Never know.
No.
What are you gonna do? Okay, so we've covered Betsy DeVos, who's incredibly wealthy, right? She's like the heiress of the
Yes.
O. Henry candy bar fortune, isn't she? I mean, it's worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $38 billion. Right?
Yeah. Give or
Something like
take 20, 30, 40 million.
Yeah, something like that. So that pisses the Democrats off too. That
Of course it does.
Nominated
and she's given a lot of money over the years to school, to charter schools.
Can't have that.
Nope. Absolutely not. Because what are you going to do with that wheelchair kid? I mean, in the 1.5 hour that I watched, they brought up the Children with Disabilities or the People with Disabilities Act several times, because I guess they think that charter schools mean disparate outcomes for them and they won't be allowed in and all this kind of nonsense. And it's just like, can we talk about literacy rates, please? And the cost per pupil of education in the worst schools in the country and how insane that is.
Yeah, I can't remember. I broke down the figures a couple of years ago, how much they spend per pupil in the Detroit public schools, and it's outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen figures of, in inner city schools, somewhere between 15,000 and 18,000 per student.
And they're walking, the ones who graduate from high school walk out with like a 7th grade education at the most.
If that, yeah. Yeah, it's really pathetic, but let's get them into pre-K.
Well, Tracy, the problem is they just need more money.
Of course they do.
Just throw more
And if you
money
look at the budgets, which I've gone through the Philadelphia school budget because they want to be transparent, so they put a lot of it online. And, the percentage of the money that comes in going to pensions, which is retired teachers sitting on their ass somewhere after 20 years or 30 years. So you're talking about 40 and 50-year-olds in some cases. It's astonishing. So the idea that all that money goes straight to kids and education is a farce.
Well, what some of these communities need to do is just pass a soda tax and have it go to education. That way.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Just throwing that out there.
Nope. And I don't know. Did we talk about this? That the mayor's come out here and said this is the local businesses are price gouging? Well, what he expected was that when they impose the soda tax, which is something, I can't remember what it is. It's per ounce tax.
Yeah, this is in Philadelphia.
At the wholesale level. So they didn't expect that to get passed along to the customers. All taxes are built into the price of things.
Clearly,
that's how it works.
None of these people in the city council or the people who work for the mayor or the mayor, male, female mayor there in Philadelphia?
It's a man.
They have never owned a business in their entire life.
No,
it's
it's unbelievable. Yeah, Reason had the article about this. Philly mayor blames price gouging for outrage generated by city's new soda tax. So it's a 1.5 cent per ounce tax.
It's unbelievable.
And so they quoted, I think it was in this story, the soda machines, the fountains.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a guy in here that owns Carbonator rental services. So he says those bags, the syrup bags that go in there, cost $60.
Okay.
To buy one of those. And they used to turn about, I think it was a $20 gross profit off of one of those bags.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the tax on that makes the tax on that bag of syrup is $57.60. So it's almost 100%.
Yeah.
Markup. So if you were only making 20 on that, and now it's going to cost you almost 60 more, we expect them to lose $40.
Well, listen, and there are going to be, I don't know the language of this law, but you're going to have entrepreneurs they do their best to circumvent laws like this. I would think some restaurants would just start including soda, in their meals for free.
No, because the tax is at the wholesale level.
Oh, it's at the wholesale. It's not at the retail level as well. It's just at the wholesale level. Okay.
It's just at the point. I guess some of them were putting it at the retail level so that people would see it on their receipts.
Okay.
Because that's when you saw the receipts, that was what got confusing to me, because then I'm reading these other things and it's at the wholesale level. So it's supposed to hit the distributors and the store owners, those rich guys.
And they're just supposed,
they're supposed to eat it.
Yeah, because that's how rich people get rich. Right?
No, and they constantly bitch about how, there's food deserts in the city where you can't get things. And not that soda should be on the list of great things to get in the city, but you should still be able to get it if you want it and not have to pay a fortune for it.
Right.
But they wonder why businesses don't want to be in the city. I mean, honestly, it pays them more to just go to Delaware, which is right down the street, and grab all this stuff and smuggle it in illegally. If you're going to lose $40, give or take, on every bag of soda syrup, I think it's worth the trip.
And then you're going to start seeing, I'm sure, enforcement officers hired to make sure that people aren't.
Probably.
You probably have to have some sort of stamp on your soda bag.
Well, they'll probably just turn the PPA on to it or something, because God forbid we set up a whole new regulatory agency. The Philadelphia Parking Authority is the PPA, and they're the worst. They're so awful. There was an entire TV show, the Parking Authority. I can't remember what the hell it was called. It was on A&E, I think, and it was all about the Philly parking people.
Why would anybody want to watch that?
Because it was all these confrontations with people getting tickets and stuff like that. And then you get to hear two people with Philly accents scream at each other.
See, I think that sounds entertaining for maybe one episode.
Well, there's towing going on too. There's a lot of things that can happen, Fingers, with the Philly parking people. There's a boot on my car. Those kind of things. Gosh. But I mean, I took you to South Philly where people park in the middle of the street.
Yes.
Which is just allowed to happen.
I'd never seen anything like that.
Yeah, for those of you who've never been to South Philadelphia, and if you've ever driven through a city or any kind of a 4-lane road that's split and there's a middle lane that's just empty for passing and things like this and left-hand turns. Yeah, in South Philadelphia, people park there.
I was like, why are all these cars broken down in the middle of the road? Oh, no, they're parked there. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because parking sucks in Philly. Parking sucks in most major cities.
That's true. Holy smokes.
Yep.
Well, and now I noticed in our Evernote you shared a story with me that they're changing the liquor law once again in Philadelphia or in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, this is such a pathetic thing to celebrate. So there was some push to, I believe it was called Free Our Six Packs, or like Let My Six Pack Go or something.
Yeah.
So the liquor control regime in Pennsylvania is so convoluted. It's absurd. Beer you can buy at a beer distributor, and you can only buy at the beer distributor. It used to be just cases.
Okay.
Then they expanded it to allow you to buy 12 packs. So now finally you can buy 6 packs. The only place you could buy 6 packs before this was at bars.
So, nowhere in the state of Pennsylvania, there was nowhere you could go and buy a 6-pack of beer, not a party store, just at a bar?
Mm-hmm. Well, and sometimes delis and stuff like that would have a license to sell 6-packs. And I don't really understand who got them, because there would be certain hoagie joints.
What was the reasoning behind this?
Who knows? I mean, we were a Quaker state.
Yeah.
So that's where the blue laws came from.
Love their oil, by the way.
Yeah, it's delicious.
But no, okay, so I've been bitching about Indiana's Sunday sales law here for years, and how we can never seem to get a Sunday sales law passed because of the liquor lobby here in Indiana, and I thought we had some of the screwiest liquor laws in the country. But the idea that you can't just walk into a store and buy a 6-pack of Miller Lite. Can you buy 40 ounces?
I don't think so. I don't think
you can't buy a 40 in Philly.
Well, maybe somewhere. I don't know. I mean, I haven't
You haven't been in the market for a 40 in a long time?
No, the last time I had a 40 was probably college.
When you were breaking stink bombs at bars?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Load up on some King Cobra.
Yeah, I like Mickey's. St. Ides Special Brew, which aren't really 40s, they're more like 24s.
Oh God, malt liquor! Did I ever tell you the story? Did I ever tell you the story about my one malt liquor experience?
No.
I was in Michigan. They had a 7-Eleven, and I walked in, and they had a special 22-ounce bottle of Colt 45 Ice for 69 cents a bottle.
Oh, that is a deal.
Yeah, well, this was back in the 90s. So
sure.
It's a while ago. The cooler next to the Colt, King Cobra, or it was Colt 45. Colt 45 Ice special for 69 cents. Bottles of Aquafina for 99 cents. So it's like, wow. So they brewed this malt liquor, went through the whole process, and they're selling it cheaper than they are the Aquafina. Well, I gotta try
tap water.
Yeah, I've got to try it. The worst tasting beer I've ever had in my life. I was doing shots of beer.
Yeah.
It was kind of like if someone took Natural Light and then mixed it with rubbing alcohol. But 69 cents, Tracy.
I know. Did you finish it?
Oh, of course, you have to.
There
Especially
you go.
when you're in your 20s. Now, 45, I would have taken one drink of it and thrown it out the window. But, when you're in your 20s.
Yes. Yes, I understand. But I get they must sell malt liquor somewhere. Probably the delis that I don't understand how they have that licensing, but they do.
So you can go, apparently, if you want a 40, the only place you can get it is where you can get a pastrami sandwich on the side. I mean, what is
something?
This?
I mean, I haven't had a beer since 2005, so I haven't had any occasion to buy it.
How do you know that?
Because I remember the last time I had one. And it gave me a headache for 3 days, so that's when I said no more
what
of
kind
this.
Of beer gave you?
It was Amstel Light, and everybody said, "Oh well." I was at a party, and all the drink options were white wine and beer. And at that point, I had something in my head about white wine being disgusting. I've since disavowed myself of that notion. But it was, we can't get colored drinks on the fancy carpets, so I said, "Oh, I'll have an Amstel Light," and that was the kiss of death. Yeah. So, all right, that's why I know it was 2005. But yeah, I don't recall if they sold 40s there could be, who knows? I mean, with these laws, it's so absurd and kind of arbitrary that they probably sold them at the beer distributors. Because I remember having to go in college, like that's where you'd have to go to get beer, or you can go to a bar and buy a $12 6-pack.
Oh,
well, of course they're going to mark it up.
No, I get that. I used to be a bartender, and that was the only time you would ever buy a 6-pack of beer at a bar was it's 2:00 in the morning, and you're going back home, and you don't have any beer. So you buy it from the bartender at a huge markup, but you don't care. You're drunk, and it's 2:00 in the morning, and you want to keep drinking. But exactly. Oh my gosh, I just... It just blows my mind. I've said it once, I'll say it 100 times. It will be legal to buy a joint in all 50 states before I can buy a 6-pack of beer on a Sunday in Indianapolis.
You are correct. And on your joint tip, I don't know if you saw the article about Pennsylvania's medical marijuana is coming online. So they finally got themselves in order. Yes. So... They are going to have 25 grower processor permits given out, and 50 dispensary permits are up for grabs for the entire state.
This is for medical marijuana.
This is for medical, yes. So medical got passed through last year. Apparently, they've given some people waivers so that they've already been able to access it if they have, like that poor little girl from New Jersey who was having I don't know, what was it, 30, 40 Caesars a day until they found some mix of THC. And I think she was on a THC CBD mix that knocked her down to maybe one a day. But so the rules are that the only medical marijuana that can be consumed in the state by anybody with the card to do so has to be grown in the state.
Of course.
So this is a protectionist racket, of course. So if you wanted to apply for an application just to be considered for this,
oh, good Lord.
Guess how much you have to cough up for the application fee?
50
non-refundable. It's only 10.
Oh, wow.
But that's non-refundable.
Non-refundable. That's a nice racket.
So then...
Do you get a wristband like when you walk into a bar? When you pay
like when you're waiting in line for concert tickets?
Oh, my God.
No. So who knows how much money they're going to get just off of the application. So then the permit fee, if you get through all of that, which I guess you have to give at the jump because it says it will be returned to unsuccessful applicants. $200,000.
Oh, my God.
Then the ante, I'm reading, this is a Philly.com story. The ante for a dispensary license, which will allow the winner to operate up to 3 storefronts, is $5,000 and must be accompanied by a refundable permit fee of $30,000 per storefront.
Oh.
Yeah. Isn't that fun? So you need to have about $350,000 to even consider doing this.
It's only people like Betsy DeVos with that kind of money can afford to get into the medical marijuana business in Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Did anybody ask her about that?
No, they should have. So they're anticipating 900 individuals and corporations will apply. And then the 90-day review period. But this is hilarious to me. The selection committee at the health department will evaluate each application on 30 criteria. You ready to hear which ones are the most important?
Well, it has. My guess is it has to involve diversity in some way.
Ding, ding, ding. The most heavily weighted categories, accounting for 20% of the total points, are diversity and community impact.
Oh, lovely.
Aspiring owners and contractors must discuss what roles minorities, veterans, and women will play in their operations. Applicants will also need to submit a statement on the impact their business will have on their communities. This is such a joke.
Wow. And
yeah.
I don't know much about what it takes to get a medical marijuana. What is it? A certificate? If you're a patient, I don't know what the license. What do they call it?
I think you get a card.
A card.
I don't know. That's yeah.
But
prescription.
Prescription. I mean, what do you have to? Is it just for pain management? Do you have people that say, like me, who suffer from anxiety? Can I run out if Indiana would ever pass such a law? Can people with anxiety get their medical marijuana? I mean, I don't know. And I'll never see it in Indiana because I can't even buy a freaking 6-pack of beer on a Sunday in Indiana. But
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how lax the rules are going to be in Pennsylvania. I mean, it became a joke in California.
Yeah.
They could just be like, oh, I got headaches. Could that be because you have caffeine withdrawal? No. This is an ongoing crippling condition. So I'm not sure. I tend to believe that in the states that are just rolling these kind of things out, they're going to be a little bit stricter about it, but who knows? I mean, I can't imagine who the hell is going to be able to afford to go through this process and still check off all the diversity boxes.
That's true. But it's it's interesting because, they try to limit it, which is ridiculous, but for the sake of argument, we'll say, okay, that they need to limit this to just medical marijuana. So they want to limit it, but at the same time, they are going to get some sort of tax revenue off of this. So do they want to be really strict about who gets a medical marijuana card? I would think at the end of the day, once they start seeing those tax dollars rolling, and they're like, oh, maybe scurvy. Guy's got scurvy.
I don't know if they tax it, though.
medical marijuana, that whole there has to be there has to be some sort
Well,
of
I know
taxes
the legal the states that have legalized it tax it, but I don't know if you're allowed to tax quote unquote medicine.
Well, if the industry grows, there will be tax revenue from it no matter what.
Well, sure.
I mean,
well, the ancillary businesses like the munchie shacks that go next door, and the glass pipe business will boom.
Ugh.
Those kind of things. So we'll see. I'm fascinated to find out who's going to apply for this and where these are going to go. I mean, I can't imagine having to write that this is how it will positively affect my community to have a pot shop downtown. It'll be great. Children will learn all about marijuana usage.
You have to come up with a PowerPoint?
I don't know.
I know people who can give a good PowerPoint presentation, Tracy.
I mean, if you're dropping $300,000, you'd think. Hell, put on a laser light Pink Floyd show for them. We're going to expand our minds, man. The community's going to be blown away.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Well, that's fun.
Well, I did want to correct something from last week's show very quickly.
Oh.
Since we were going live right after Trump's press conference and he had that little toe-to-toe with CNN.
A little dust up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we jumped all over it. And I had pointed out that CNN appeared to have linked to that BuzzFeed article. And then they were, squealing that they hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
So it was brought to my attention by a helpful lefty on Twitter that they indeed had not linked to it.
Oh, I thought you said they did.
Well, this is how it works, and this is how I got tricked. So the CNN article that I believed linked to it reads like this. CNN has reviewed a 35-page compilation of the memos. This is the dossier from which the 2-page synopsis was drawn. The memos have since been published by BuzzFeed. Now, that phrase, since been published by BuzzFeed, has a hyperlink attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
So when one reads that, I think it's perfectly normal to assume that that hyperlink text takes you to the BuzzFeed article.
Yes.
It does not.
Oh.
It takes you to another CNN article. So that subsequent CNN article also does not link to the BuzzFeed article. Therefore, their claims that they didn't, give them any kind of imprimatur of importance or reality, give them their prestige in saying CNN is totally elevating this beyond the pile of garbage BuzzFeed to actual news that's respected, I guess. Mm-hmm. But in the secondary article, I will say that they do link to the 35 pages, but in a roundabout way by including a tweet from WikiLeaks that leads to the hosting of the 35 pages. They were dumped on Document Cloud or something. Mm-hmm. So you could get to it that way, but my mistake for believing that hyperlink text in a sentence that contains the words BuzzFeed has linked to this, and and here's the hyperlink, was rather confusing. So good on them for really covering their tracks.
Well, then I guess we owe CNN an apology. I know that Jake Tapper probably is very upset the way that we went after him unfairly, apparently.
He's devastated. I've reached out. We're waiting to hear back from his people to see if we can be forgiven, how we can move forward from this unfortunate incident.
Maybe do a hit with Paula Zahn, even though she's probably not on CNN anymore. It doesn't matter.
No.
Still.
Dana Bash.
Dana.
I know. Got to be different.
I'm Fingers.
No.
Well, we only have a few minutes left before we go to Ashe Schow from the watchdog.org and the New York Observer. There are a couple things we could talk about, Tracy, if you'd like. One, my terrible experience at an all-you-can-eat buffet, or the story that I had last week that we didn't talk about. Or maybe you won't want to talk about either one of them. Apparently, according to the Daily Star, which I'm guessing is a British tabloid,
sure.
George Michael had 500 lovers in 7 years.
Oh. Am I supposed to be surprised?
Yeah, a little bit. Wouldn't you think? 500 in 7 years?
No. Do I need to do some math for you? 7 years times 365 days. That's,
but I guess this is the last
I
7 years of
count
his
the leap
life.
year. Yeah, 2,556 days.
Ugh.
Divided by how many did you say? 500?
500.
Yeah.
This is
One every 5 days or so.
by Andrew Jameson over at the Daily Star. The tragic star is said to have boasted about his prolific love life at a dinner party. TV presenter Piers Morgan said was being blackmailed by a French male prostitute.
Ooh. See, that's that buried the lead there.
He said the former Wham singer was on outrageously indiscreet form at the star-studded bash a few years ago. Good Morning Britain host Piers Morgan said, George, who had us all heaving with laughter, with his searing, shocking honesty, chuckled, I've decided just to admit everything so people can't expose me for it.
Okay.
George's romp admission came despite having 2 long-term boyfriends over more than 15 years. So he had boyfriends during this time, and yet was still able to manage squeezing in 500 people to shag. Is that what they say in Britain? To shag?
That's what they say.
Oh, wow! Look at me.
Yeah.
So cultured.
The man's a rock star.
So you don't think that? Do you think people find this more shocking because he's gay?
No, I think it makes it less shocking.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like people read that and they think themselves, "Oh my gosh, that's disgusting." But if it were, say, Mick Jagger,
No, I think
like,
there would be.
it's Mick Jagger. Eh.
Right. No, I look at it both the same way. I'm sure Mick Jagger's numbers are even better than his.
Even at his age, how old is Mick Jagger now? I think
he's in his 70s.
Yeah, something like that.
And he's having another kid.
Are you serious?
I believe so.
Oh, good God. I can't even imagine. And I know rich parenting is a lot different than normal person parenting, but...
Yeah, he just had a kid. He's 73. Oh. He had a kid in December. 8th child.
Oh.
Yep.
I'm 45. I've got a 13-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And you're exhausted.
Yes.
Well,
chasing around a 7-year-old? Oh, my God.
I mean, the Stones still tour, and he runs around that stage still.
Yeah, dancing like a chicken.
In decent shape. Yep.
Yeah.
I know, it's pathetic. But, hey, doesn't affect me.
I took my kids to Golden Corral.
Oh, God.
Which, really, if you were into germ warfare, forget having some sort of lab where you're making bombs. Just drop a Golden Corral on your enemy, and it'll probably kill 50% of the population within a year. Mm-hmm. It is the most vile, disgusting... And the place I went to, it was in a sketchy area of town. Talk about... This place was... I call it the Island of Misfits.
Mm-hmm. And I called it the Island of Unfit Misfits.
I mean, if you were to go there, just to people watch and not touch anything, it would be entertaining. But if you're going there for a meal...
Why do you let your children do this?
They love it. And, let's face it, when you're 7 and 13, your immune system is all, especially 13, it's indestructible. So we go there, and just the freaks that are at this place. There's this one guy. You know the scene from Close Encounters of the Third Kind where the guy's making the mashed potato pyramid?
No, but I can picture this. Mashed potato pyramid,
yeah, there's this guy at the salad bar, and he's got a plate, and he's just piling the lettuce on this plate. Tracy, I'm not exaggerating. It was a foot high. And
lettuce?
Just plain lettuce. And then he's trying to make it to where none of the lettuce will fall off the plate. And those plates at these all-you-can-eat buffets are really small. So he's piling the lettuce up, and then he's putting on at the edge of the plate, all the way around it, he's putting different salad dressings, or cottage cheese and sour cream all around the edge of this giant salad pyramid.
Okay.
And to sit there and watch, if you were just watching that, you'd think, wow, this is really entertaining. But then afterwards, you have to touch the ladles and the utensils that he's touching to build that salad pyramid. And these people are disgusting. And then the wait staff there, they're just weird.
No.
You know?
I'm surprised that any of this shocks you.
It's one of those things where you have to go there once a year to remind yourself why you don't go there.
Okay. Or you could just never go there and picture this.
The kids, whenever they see gold, we're going because they've got their little dessert bar where you can build your own ice cream sundae, and they've got a chocolate fountain where you can dip
into the diseased chocolate that constantly recirculates through that thing.
The fountain is sponsored by polio. It's so disgusting. And every time, like, I went and, I saw they had taco bowls. So immediately I had to just make a taco bowl just as a gag.
Yes.
And then take a picture of it and put it on social media. But, you're grabbing that giant spoon to get the ground beef, and there's a film over the ground beef, so you have to stir the ground beef up because... And then you grab that ladle and you think, oh my God, this has to have some sort of hepatitis on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one that hasn't been added to the alphabet yet.
It's like hepatitis H.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I'm building the taco bowl, and I'm next to salad pyramid guy, and there's a guy in the corner that was 70 years old and bald, but he dyed his beard blood red.
Oh.
So I'm trying to eat, and I'm looking at that guy, and I'm trying to admire my taco bowl, but then salad pyramid guy's over in the corner, and I don't know if he's bringing, like, went back to a party of like 7 or 8, so I don't know if he was bringing a mini salad bar to these people. Like he was a salad courier or something. I'd never seen anything like it, and the whole time I'm thinking, if they ever just turned the lights out in this joint and shined a black light.
Oh, God.
The things you'd see. So I turned to my oldest. I said, I'll be sick by Wednesday. Just so you know, I'm calling my shot.
Yeah.
I'll be sick by Wednesday.
And how are you doing?
So far, so good. But then
Excellent.
on top of it, you eat it, and then it's like beat the clock to get home.
Oh, God.
Because you got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I followed.
God only knows what you consumed and what was supposed to. You're supposed to be eating popcorn shrimp, which is disgusting to begin with.
Oh,
they probably imported it from China.
Sure, I don't even believe it's really shrimp.
No, it's probably not.
But it's good that you have to go to the bathroom right away to get all those worms out of your system.
Yeah, part of me thinks that some of these people are real suckers that do these cleanses.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I drink lemonade for 11 days and it cleans me out. Oh, bullshit. Go to Old Country Kitchen or, the Golden Corral and have a meal there and take in the entertainment.
Yeah.
And then
Chipotle works too.
Then you got these people that will sit there. Like we got there right before they flip from lunch to dinner. Mm-hmm. So they sit there and they eat. I feel like they sit there for 3 or 4 hours to try to get 2 or 3 meals in.
Oh,
I think there should be some sort of like eat clock.
Time limit.
Yeah. Each table has a clock, and you got 45 minutes. If you can't get your business done in 45 minutes at an all-you-can-eat buffet, you really should be kicked out. I mean, it's not like you're waiting for anything.
You're waiting to be hungry again.
Yeah, you just sit your shit down at the table and you grab a plate and you load up. This should be like a 20-minute deal. Mm-hmm. I think if you have, there should be some sort of law. And I'm not big on regulation, but I feel for these business owners. If you have more than one bowel movement at the establishment, I think it's time for you to move on. I mean, seriously, there's some of these old timers like, oh, I spent $9 and I had 3 meals here today. And when they bring like a newspaper, a shave kit with them. I mean, really, At some point, enough is enough.
Yeah, when you're bringing an airplane pillow and a book.
Yeah, exactly.
But hey, if you're not embarrassed by it, I say go for it.
I mean, yeah, if you eat an entire salad pyramid, 8 pounds of popcorn shrimp, and you contracted the Black Plague, it's time to move on. That's all.
Yeah.
We should probably bring on Ashe.
All right.
Oh, my goodness. Right? We're Skyping Ashe today.
Oh, that's cool.
Fine, that's fine.
Yeah.
This is an old photo of Ashe, I think. She's changed her look like 4 or 5 times. I believe this is an old photo of Ashe on her Skype account. Ashe?
Nope.
Well, she answered the phone, so she may be able to hear us. But we can't hear her.
Well, this will make for a good interview.
Ashe, did you ever let off a stink bomb in college? You're evading the question, Ashe. Why aren't you answering the question, Ashe? Well, why don't we try calling Ashe on her phone, because this isn't working out.
Okay.
Okay.
Ashe Schow of watchdog.org and the New York Observer joins us. How are you, Ashe?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm great. We had a little problem with your Skype.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Well, I got nothing. I figured you could hear us.
Yeah.
So, is that an old photo of you, Ashe? Because you're one of these people who likes to change your look up a lot.
Yeah, that's a photo that I took the very first time I ever logged into Skype. It was like, hey, you need a profile photo and test your camera. So I just used that one. That was what I looked like, I think, when I first moved to D.C.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
It's like 22, 23-year-old Ashe there.
Well, it's like 2 years ago, really.
Yeah.
Well, you watched, I'm assuming you watched the Betsy DeVos confirmation hearing with great interest. Let's get your take on it.
Well, I actually didn't like a lot of her answers on so many questions. The whole hearing just seemed to be an effort for lawmakers to just hear themselves talk, because they'd go on these long rants. One lawmaker even brought up what's the movie about the women that helped NASA. He starts talking about that, and then his question had nothing to do with that. And I think Rand Paul brought up another movie. It was just guys, come on, Democrats.
Are they talking about Dangerous Minds and Stand and Deliver? And what the hell are they talking about?
Let's
School
just talk
ties?
about movies. Yeah, exactly. And then Democrats like Patty Murray, her opening remarks weren't even about education. She was complaining about, she's just talking about liberal policies, and I remember which ones. It was just they had nothing to do with education. And then a couple of Democrats complained about her supposed donations to an organization that believes in conversion therapy, when it was okay, well, what does that have to do with education?
Right.
Is she going to try and have people teach conversion therapy? How is that going to happen? But she also, there's all these articles going around that, oh my God, Al Franken destroyed her on her support for conversion therapy, even though it includes her quote back to him, which was, I don't believe in conversion therapy. And these are these are donations of extended family members and not even my core family. So what are you doing here? And then, everybody who wants to say, ha, 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 dumb Republican appointee is pointing out how she talked about, potentially having schools and guns in schools, about how it's kind of a regional thing and different schools might have different needs. And so she used an example with, the senator from Wyoming who talked about that each school can be very unique and have its own unique needs. For instance, a school in Wyoming has a fence around it to keep out grizzly bears. And so because he had brought that up, she used that school as an example that, this school might want guns in order to protect students from grizzlies. So, of course, the liberal media is like taking that up. It's like, she says we might need guns in schools to protect students from grizzly bears. It's like that school, because it was an example that was brought up ahead of time. She's not saying every school needs guns for this. She's saying each school might need the guns for different reasons. And one of the reasons for this school in particular, which this senator brought up previously, was grizzlies. Like, she wasn't saying every school needed that. And I mean, she didn't want to say no guns. And she didn't even get into, like, the fact that these gun-free zones aren't keeping guns out. So, what's the point in keeping them? And then maybe you want to assess whether teachers or security officials in particular schools might need a gun for various reasons, whether students ignore, guns or whatever. I mean, she wasn't even getting into that. And I think that's the problem with a lot of the hearings. Was one, she was getting interrupted a lot, but two, she really didn't go into detail in anything. And so even when it comes to school choice and most of the questions, she just said, I commit to working with you on this. I commit to this. I commit to working with you on this. It was just, there was no real information given.
Well, that's not the point. What I've come to understand with all of these hearings, we don't really care all that much. It's just an excuse for these guys to cut campaign commercials. Right.
Exactly. So, you can go and say Al Franken destroyed her when it's like, yeah, and then you just ignore that her very first sentence in response was, yeah, I don't believe in conversion therapy. Like, I never have. I've never supported it. But that's not going to be put in there.
Well, no, because the narrative is that Mike Pence is going to drive around in a white van looking for gays to take him to the conversion camp.
Yes.
That's
right, and she's going to, help.
Yes.
Yes, and she's going to keep it grizzly free by being strapped.
Yeah.
But the other thing, I tuned in right when Tim Kaine started up. And so I gave Fingers a little synopsis of his insanity about Trump's taxes, as if that has anything to do with educating children. But I forgot my favorite thing that he kept trying to hang around her neck. I guess in a speech a couple of years ago, she said government sucks. And I'm supposed to be outraged over this. I was like, oh, right. I like this lady.
Elizabeth Warren's attacks on her since, she went in and she was asking DeVos if she had any experience like running a $1 trillion bank or like a bank with for overseeing $1 trillion loans or, $1 billion bank of any kind, as if like, if she had done that, then she could be education secretary, even though they also attacked her for not having gone to public school or taught public school or things like that. And I'm also thinking the irony of like Elizabeth Warren being mad at somebody who wasn't part of some $1 trillion bank. Like, it's the whole stick that banks are evil, but now you're using the fact that this woman isn't part of an evil bank to attack her. And then, like, she's putting out there these, she has no experience with, these schools. It's like, well, what she does have experience with is reforming schools. So she has spoken to these things. So she has no experience with Pell Grants or taking out student loans or whatever. And there's like a bunch of issues on that. One, if she was part of the status quo, we would have the status quo. That's kind of why she was nominated. Two, when it comes to having experience with student loans and Pell Grants, like, she's an older woman. Her kids are adults. So even if she did have experience with these things, it would have been a really long time ago. So, like, would she even really remember this? Like, I'm not even that far out of college, but I don't really remember much experience applying for and getting student loans, right? Like, not, like, yes, I've gone through it, but it's kind of like saying, oh, you don't have you need to have gone to kindergarten or preschool in order to have been a preschool teacher. It was like, even if I had gone, I don't remember it. I was like 4.
Right.
I mean, like, it's just ridiculous.
Well, it's insane because she is a billionaire. We all know this. So she's obviously signed financial contracts before, probably loans, mortgages would be my guess. So who cares what form that takes? If it's, oh, give me money to go to school, or I'm going to get, I know I need to make a contract to buy a house or a car or all these things. It's so it's nuts to me. And you're absolutely right. We just want to make sure that you're a good technocrat. No, we don't want them anymore.
Right, exactly.
And echoes of Trump just saying our politicians are stupid were rattling around in my head through that whole hearing, because they're going to great lengths to prove him correct on that.
Right, exactly. And they keep complaining. They're like, she wouldn't, remove funds from public education. Well, it's like, which she should have gotten into better, which is, we need to make sure that those dollars are being used effectively. So if it turns out that we're overpaying, then we shouldn't be overpaying for ineffective programs, right? She didn't get into that. She also said, I believe in public education. I'm for it. I don't want to destroy it. And yet all the articles are, she wants to destroy public education. Like,
well, good.
God,
I
people,
hope she
why
does.
did she? And then Democrats were complaining they didn't get a second round of questioning and complaining there wasn't going to be more hearings. It was like, she really didn't need to be at this hearing, because clearly everything she said didn't matter, because the narrative was already written and the articles were written ahead of time. So she didn't need to be there for that. No,
and as now his name escapes me, the guy that was chairing that
Lamar Alexander.
Yeah, Lamar Alexander. He said, and this was stunning to me, that she had gone out of her way to go meet with every single one of those senators privately and discuss this with them.
Right. But they're like, but that was privately, and we can submit our questions. But then the American people won't get to see it. I'm like, the American people aren't watching this.
No.
Like, who's watching confirmation hearings?
Just the people that have to write about them and talk about them.
Who already have opinions one way or the other. Like, nobody is watching them and be like, I'm really interested in this.
Well, and the other thing...
We're like parents and children who are watching it at home. It's like,
no.
Nobody's DVRing it. But no. The idea that you have to go through the process of getting a student loan to fully understand the process is ridiculous. First of all, it's not like people are getting turned down en masse for student loans. But then on top of it, I remember it was kind of a pain in the ass, but shouldn't it be a little bit of a pain in the ass to fill out forms to get a student loan when you're borrowing $90,000 for a women's studies degree?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It should be difficult because students don't understand the gravity of the decision they're making going to college, that you are going to have to pay this money back, and you're going to have to do something in order to get a job in order to pay it back. But right now, it's just, study whatever you want. Women's studies, basket weaving, whatever. You have a student loan on us, and then they're complaining they can't pay it back. Even my first job right out of college, I made $1,000 a month, and I paid back my student loans because I had other opportunities. I was living with my parents and didn't have any other bills. Mm-hmm. It was just like, you do what's necessary to pay them back. You don't take them out and then complain that you don't want to pay them back or you can't pay them back. And I think that's something that colleges and banks really are doing a disservice to students, or basically not telling them just what they're going to need to do to pay it back.
Well, I do think it's difficult for as someone who was an 18-year-old at one point. I do think the concept is a little bit difficult to grasp. Not the idea that you're going to have to pay it back, but just how long it's going to take and all those things. And that's why I think there's a good argument for having the interest rates on student loans determined by the major that you're pursuing. So if you're going to go get a women's studies degree, which is not going to yield a high return, we're going to give you a 20% interest rate on your student loan to make you kind of rethink this. say, this is
Right.
what your loan payment's going to be every month. This is the job that you're probably going to get. It's a barista at Starbucks or something like this. That's going to be your monthly income over here. These two things are way out of whack.
Your only real hope with that degree is to become a women's study professor and
Correct.
scam other students into taking this degree.
Yeah, and there may be, 2,000 positions in the whole country for that?
Right, which is
And
still
most of them
my
are
theory.
tenured.
Right, which still is my theory on all of those protests back in 2015, that it was all the women's studies and African American studies majors who realized they were going to need jobs, and so look at some of the demands was we need more professors and diversity hires. It, to me, just screamed, oh, by the way, I need a job.
Yeah, yes. And speaking of the protests, are you looking forward to being in D.C. for the inauguration?
Well, since I live in Virginia and I work in Virginia,
You're going to stay in Virginia?
I might stay in Virginia.
Oh, see, I figured you'd be invited to one of the big balls and, get
The
all...
Women's
Well,
March for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to the New Jersey State Ball
Ooh, fancy.
tomorrow night.
Will
Yeah,
Snooki
I'm
in the
excited for
situation
that.
be there or not?
Oh, God, I hope not.
John Bon Jovi be playing?
No, I think we were supposed to have the Bruce Springsteen cover band.
Oh,
The Bruce Springsteen cover band, okay? Because there's the Bruce Springsteen, and then there's apparently the Bruce Springsteen cover band.
Do they look like
The best
Madison
for-
Rising?
oh man.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Are they still a thing?
I don't know.
I hope not.
Somebody sent me a piece as we started recording the podcast that they would have gone to the inaugural to perform if they were invited, but I didn't read the piece because I've been busy here.
It's like inviting Nickelback to anything. Like, no one's gonna do it.
Not, even worse, a Nickelback tribute band.
Yes.
Oh, God.
So the Bruce Springsteen cover band, have they pulled out?
Somebody sent that to me, so then maybe they have. I'm not sure.
Oh, what a
But they're
shame.
still supposed to be like diner food, like as if you were on a boardwalk down at the Jersey Shore. So they're supposed to be like shore food like that, and then like
Funnel
carnival like entertainment. Probably.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Is
I'm
this
excited.
Hurricane Sandy funds that are being used for this party?
I'm thinking that of the state parties, that one might actually be one of the most fun ones. I mean, outside of Nevada.
Well, yeah, you get to hang out with Cory Booker, who wants to be president in 4 years, and you get to hang out with Menendez and count the days until he's indicted.
Well, with Booker, like, he went to the Senate and then disappeared. Like, some people are big names before and they go in and they disappear. Some people go in and become big names. You know, there's a lot of people, and like Booker did this, where you get in, you keep your head down, you don't make any enemies, and you just kind of bide your time. But I just had expected more of Booker.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but okay.
Well, I mean, because he was so outspoken ahead of time. Like, I just didn't understand why he would go and be quiet and everything, especially when, like, Obama's president, like, go make a name for yourself being an adversary, you know, like, or you know, really fighting against Republicans. Like, why are you quiet?
No, and he teamed up with both Sessions and Rand Paul at certain points in time. Rand Paul on criminal justice reform and Sessions on some bill for civil rights recognition or something like this. But then, of course, he has to hustle down there and testify against Jefferson Beauregard Sessions.
Right.
Oh, it's all theater.
I want to hear more about the New Jersey ball.
Well, after I go, I can tell you about it.
Yay!
Oh, I can't wait.
They have a buffet?
Oh.
You want to stay away from those buffets.
They can't
Yeah.
have a buffet. Is Christy going to be there?
I don't know. Maybe.
Wow, it sounds like a hoppin' party if they're going to have a Bruce Springsteen cover band. And,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, now that they've dropped out, one of those Jersey Shore people apparently like DJs or something.
Yes, Pauly D.
Yes, so maybe he'll take over for everybody.
But I don't think any of them were actually Jersey natives. I think they all lived in Staten Island.
Yeah,
Well, I don't
New York.
understand. I don't understand if you're going to have a Bruce Springsteen cover band and they drop out. I would think that you would do your best to find another Bruce Springsteen cover band to take over, because people will be jonesing to hear Born to Run live, and now they're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that they have another one lined up. I mean, it can't be musicless.
Maybe they have a Bon Jovi cover band waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be listening to "Living on a Prayer," the Bon Jovi tribute band.
Oh God, no! Maybe there'll just be karaoke of all these, and we'll have to listen to each other sing it.
Oh, that'd be great to hear.
Because nothing is going to be better than listening to people with Jersey accents try to sing "Living on a Prayer."
Oh,
yes.
I would pay good money to watch Chris Christie sing "Runaway." Be fantastic.
Oh man. You're gonna. I just picture mall hair, and I know that's anachronistic, but.
Well, yeah, I'm going to use a waiver on my hair, but I'm thinking that I should do the big poof, right?
Yeah, why not make it just go total theme, even though it doesn't make any sense.
I got time. I can go to spray tan. My nails aren't long enough. I guess I can Jersey it up a bit.
Well,
I guess.
GTL, Ash, GTL.
Yeah, I think you and whoever you're going with should watch Jersey Shore, Jersey Shore marathon before tomorrow night, and work on a Jersey accent, and just walk around and people ask you who you are. You just pretend you're from Jersey. See what happens.
No, because I did live in New Jersey for 6 years, so I'm passable. But no, I'm going with my good friend who is from Jersey, so she doesn't have that kind of an accent, but she definitely has some Jersey speech patterns. Like, I had never heard anybody calling anything janky, but apparently that's a Jersey thing.
I don't know what that means.
So
it just means shitty fingers.
Oh.
I mean, just think junkie, except we replace the U with an A, and then it becomes janky.
Yeah.
I'm told that people call each other muff cabbage in
what?
Yeah, in Jersey.
Okay.
Okay, who are you talking to?
Just saying. According to South Park, people in Jersey call each other muff cabbage. So.
Probably people from Trenton.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, Ash, what do you have coming up here in the next week that people should know about over at watchdog.org and the New York Observer?
Well, I'll be writing about the overhyping of the Women's March over at the Observer today, and I will also be writing about a Kellogg Community College chapter of Young Americans for Liberty are suing the school because they were arrested for handing out pocket constitutions.
Fun.
I'm also looking into whether a college that gave students and faculty time off to watch Obama's 2009 inauguration will be doing the same for Trump.
Follow Ash on Twitter at Ashe Schow, and again, catch all of her work at watchdog.org and the New York Observer. Enjoy the ball, Ash, and we'll talk to you next week.
If I survive, I mean, it is
true.
Jersey.
Take notes. We want deets.
Okay,
they call details deets in New Jersey. Make a mental note.
Of course I do.
Thanks, Ash.
Thanks, Ash.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Well, Tracy, anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this puppy up?
Well, I mean, I think it's worth noting that this time next week we'll have a brand new president.
That's true.
We're in the final countdown here, so we've got 2 days to find out whether or not Obama's going to pardon one Miss Hillary Clinton.
I think that happens on his way to Trump's speech, don't you think?
Do you? I'm still not convinced that he's going to do it. I think he's so boxed in over this that it's really difficult to tell which way it's going to go.
Well, how do you pardon her?
You just say she gets a blanket pardon, kind of like what Ford did for Nixon. So she's pardoned for everything she could have possibly done up until this point in her life. Seriously, this is how I heard it.
Vince Foster's murder? That's what you're telling me?
Everything.
Oh,
she's exonerated from it all.
Wow.
I mean, that's Judge Napolitano explained this one time, and I was just flabbergasted that you can do this and just say, nope, everything she's ever done is off the table as far as prosecutions go. So it would have to be a crime committed after the pardon. But I don't know if he can do it. I mean, imagine him issuing her a pardon, and then she's got to sit behind Trump on Friday. And the swearing in starts at 11:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to picture all of this. She's sitting there. You can probably see her behind him. He takes the oath, and then he gets up to give his speech, which I'm reading this morning is going to be about unifying the country, of course. How bold and different. But giving him a microphone when millions of people are watching, if Obama has just pardoned her, you think he's going to stay mum about that?
I think he'd be relieved.
I don't. I think he'd be pissed as hell.
He has said since the election, when he went on his thank you tour and people started chanting lock her up, it's like, oh, that was cute during the election.
See, I think that was a ploy.
You think he's gonna?
Yeah.
It was a smoke screen, a stink smoke screen. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, because then it makes it seem very odd if Obama comes out and pardons her. And he said, I'm not going to do anything to her. She's old and sick.
Clintons are good people.
I mean, that was the subtext, of course, that I added to it myself. But yeah, she's a wonderful person. And let's face it, she's getting up there in age. Her health is questionable.
Well, and of course, news broke yesterday that the Clinton Global Initiative is closing up shop, and according to Newsbusters, complete silence from the major news networks over this. Not
all their
word.
Good work, fingers. It's just gone. Who is going to pick up the slack on giving people in third world countries watered down AIDS drugs?
Oh my God.
Who is going to enrich themselves off of the next natural disaster in some poor little country?
The Obama Global Initiative.
Ding, ding, ding. No, I'm truly fascinated to see where this is going to come. If he gives her a pardon now, when Trump has come out and, as you said, made noise about not prosecuting her, what then is the push to get a pardon shoved out? So Trump says he's not going to do anything to her, but we still feel the need to protect her. What message does that send? Can they spin that to just, well, we don't believe Trump and we think he'll come after her, and the American people don't need to have that.
We're already too divided, Tracy Connors. We don't want to divide
and that
the
would
nation
just destroy
further.
it. But I mean, there is the argument that he'll pardon her because if she goes down, she takes him with her.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's a total minefield for him to navigate at this point.
Well, I mean, you go back to the emails, and of course, Barack Obama claimed he learned about it for the first time by watching the media, which he, that was the common theme. When there was a scandal, he learned about it by watching CNN. But it's clear that he lied about that. He had been emailing her on her private server. So she's got the goods on him.
Yep. Yeah.
Now,
and who knows what else they can dig up.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the freaking Clintons. They probably have their own KGB wing of the Clinton Foundation that digs the shit up. Got dirt on everybody. Got dirt on you, Tracy, and your stink bomb rage.
I'm sure they do. Those years are behind me.
Good for you. Glad you put it behind you. And I'm glad that you stopped drinking Amstel Light because it's terrible beer.
Yes, it truly is. I'll never make that mistake again.
But, I remember in the 90s that you were always looking for some kind of cool beer to drink that was different than the crap Bud Light, Busch Light that people were drinking. For a while, I used to drink Red Stripe because it was a cool little bottle.
Yeah, it is a cool bottle.
And that's garbage, too.
Mm.
I mean, all it is Jamaican Labatt's beer.
Oh, there you go.
Who needs that? I don't know.
Oh, man. I know.
2 days. In 2 days. Well, it'll actually be a day because we're releasing this on Thursday.
No, less than 24 hours.
Yeah, we'll have a new president. And it'll be interesting to see. Now, are you going to sit back and watch everything, or are you just going to go about your day? Are you not going to be able to take your eyes off the TV for the inauguration and then all the
I'm going to have to watch
the whole sideshow that's going to happen along with it?
I got to see that. I'm dying to see the faces of Hillary Clinton,
She's
Bill
gonna be
Clinton.
Drunk, right?
I would assume.
She may as well wear one of those plastic hats that you see at baseball games that have the 2 beers and the straw that goes directly into your mouth. I mean, she may as well just
she would have the little vodka flask.
She's
She's
classy like
classier
that.
than that. Yeah.
Oh.
You're like, what is that? Is that your colostomy bag we heard so much about? No, that's my booze to go. And she can wear one of those stadium buddy things that allow you to go to the bathroom without leaving your seat.
So what do you think terrifies her more? The idea that Trump will try to be nice to her during his speech, or that she may have a seizure right behind him before she's able to leave?
Well, they seem to have dialed whatever meds in for her.
Yeah.
So I think she's safe. But, I mean, that would be totally dramatic, and she could upstage him if that did go down. But I just want to see the faces of everybody that's there, because they all hated him, all the ex-presidents.
Yep.
So they're going to have the Bushes there scowling, Obama, the Obamas. Joe Biden will probably be the only one that's able to plaster a goofy grin on his face.
Well, he'll be drunk, too.
No, he doesn't drink.
He doesn't drink?
No, he's a teetotaler.
Oh, I didn't know
Do you remember
that.
the beer summit? They had to get some O'Douls in there so he could look like he was drinking.
God, that is so freaking... I have no respect for anyone that will go through that bullshit. You know what? I want everybody to think I'm drinking a beer, so I'm drinking an O'Doul's. Just drink a freaking Diet Coke or something. I have much more respect for you saying, well, you know what? I don't drink. Then, you know what? I'm going to have
Not
a
only do
Coke.
I not drink, but I'm going to have a diet, alcohol-free beer that tastes like disgusting.
Garbage. Oh, my God. Have you ever had an O'Doul's?
No, why would I?
Oh.
The point of beer is to get the alcohol.
I've been around pregnant women who miss beer. That's what cracks me up, too. 40, 50 years ago, you had pregnant women running around doing shots of Old Crow, and now you've got women that are scared to have one beer with dinner because they've been spooked by what the medical community has told them.
Fetal alcohol syndrome, fingers, it's a real thing.
That's right. So you better even be careful with your O'Doul's and Sharps, because there's a tiny bit of alcohol in it. So if you have a 6-pack of O'Doul's, your kid may have
fetal alcohol syndrome.
Fetal alcohol syndrome. But no, it at least with it's like got a soapy taste to it. It's the most disgusting garbage.
Why did you ever try it?
I was like, well, I got to try this, because if you really miss the taste of beer, I got to find out if this would do anything for you to kind of scratch the itch. But it doesn't. It tastes like garbage. It's like, okay, why are you doing this? Just go without, or seriously, have a beer. For Christ's sake. It's not going to kill your baby. But Sharps and O'Doul's, and then St. Pauli Girl, I believe, makes a non-alcoholic beer. And they're just all crap. Just drink the real thing.
Or just drink something else. Have a glass of water.
Yeah.
You're not fooling any of us if we know you don't drink. But apparently he fooled you, because you didn't know until today that he didn't drink.
I'm disappointed. I really am.
Well, it's shocking with his personality.
Yeah, I held out hope at some point I'd be able to have a beer with Joe Biden, and it's never going to happen.
He'll have no duels, and you'll have a beer.
Oh, I won't be able to look him in the eye.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Trump doesn't drink either. It's quite interesting that both of them have those huge personalities, and they're often, caricatured as the drunk uncle. And neither one of them touches booze.
I have a hard time trusting anyone that doesn't drink.
Yeah.
But then on top of it, if you're going to go through the charade of putting an O'Doul's in your glass, that's even worse. But hey.
Oh, man, that's probably what you have to look forward to at the Delaware Ball.
Yeah. Woo! Got O'Doul's on tap.
Yes.
But what do I know?
For those who like the champagne, we have some sparkling apple cider.
Yeah. Well, what do I know? He's vice president of the United States, and he's got the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And Trump's a billionaire, and he's going to be president of the United States in a couple of days.
And then the fun really begins.
Yeah. And they don't drink, so maybe they know something I don't know. They didn't lose their cell phone in South Bend after a bender.
Oh, man.
I'm still more proud of that than I would be if I tried to fake people out by pouring an O'Doul's into my glass saying I'm a beer summit drinking. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for you, Mr. Vice President. Oh, well. Anything else, Tracy?
No, I think we're good.
Where can everyone find the Enough Already podcast, Tracy?
Easy for you to say. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Facebook, and at EnoughAlreadyPodcast.com.
Yeah, follow us on the Facebook page there. Just Enough Already Podcast on Facebook. And do us a solid. And if you like the show, please go to iTunes and leave us a review. Preferably a 5-star review. Be nice.
Yeah, we provided you with hours worth of entertainment. I don't think it's too much to ask you to give us 20 seconds of your time.
Yeah, you don't even have to write anything. Just click 5 stars and move on with your day.
Well, you can. I think you have to write something.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
5-star review. And then
I think people that drink O'Tools are shitty too.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with something more clever, but
you reached down into the clever well and it was empty.
Yeah, it was totally gone.
Happens to me all the time. Okay, music for this podcast is provided to us courtesy of YoPaulyMusic.com. Follow Tracy on the Twitters at Tracy L. Connors. Follow me on Twitter at Fingers Malloy. Thank you so much for listening. The next Enough Already podcast, we will have a new president, and we'll talk about it then. Thanks for listening again, and have a great day, week, weekend. Do what you do. Yeah, how's that for an ending, Tracy?
Yeah, wrap it up.
Bye.